How do you price your work? How do you price your work? How do you price your work? That is one of the most elusive answers to one of the most common questions that every artist have, even myself. I do a ton of mural work, but I also do a lot of studio work, and I do work all in between. I am always asking myself that question. It's a very difficult question because every artist is different. So in today's video, I'm gonna go over 8 different areas to think about whenever you're trying to price your work. Mainly because you don't wanna go too high and price yourself out the market, and you don't want to go too low and undervalue your work. So let's get started in the 8 different areas you need to consider when pricing your work. The first area is previous sales. The past sales that you have had for your work is a great indicator of what the market can bear. So look at your past sales when it comes to your art and that particular type of art, especially to determine what you can price your current work or future work at. You don't want to go below your previous price points, but you want to stay the same or incrementally sort of increase the price point. So look at your past sales, and that will help you determine exactly what price range you should be at. The next is size. How big is the work that you're creating? How big is the work that you're trying to sell? It is a common idea in the public that the bigger something is, the more of it, the larger something is, the higher the price is going to be, because you have to think about logistics like shipping, materials, all these different things that are included in sort of the size of something. We always sort of add an extra tax to it, so like increasing that price. So it's always good to think about increasing the price when something is a little bit bigger. And I know a lot of artists go by square footage or the square inch of something, so that is something that's really common in the art world anyway. So really consider that when pricing your work. It's not going to fit in every situation, but a lot of situations it does fit. The bigger the mural, the bigger the wall, the more I'm going to charge. The bigger the canvas, the more logistics I have to think about, so the more I'm going to charge. And collectors and buyers are very used to thinking in that way. The bigger something is, the larger something is, the more they may have to pay. So that is totally perfect. The next area you need to think about is investment. How much time, money, resources did you invest in creating that piece of work? But not only that, when I'm talking about investment, I'm also talking about, the intangible, the more abstract idea of time, money, and resources when it comes to the education, the workshops, the amount of years or decades you had to put into trying to learn that skill set to create that piece of work as well. The large murals I do today, I can do a lot of those murals really quick. But it took me a lot of time, money, and effort from previous murals building up to this skill set to actually be able to do it the way I do it today. And I charge accordingly because I want to make sure I'm compensating myself for all that work I had to do beforehand to actually get to where I'm at today. So really think about how much investment you put into your practice and learning and the time, the money, and resources to create that piece of work. The next is career status. How established are you in your career? That makes a big difference sometimes when it comes to how you can price your work. An artist that is established for years and decades and has tons of relationships with galleries and collectors and museums will be able to price their work differently than someone coming right out of art school or someone who's self-taught and just trying to sort of create an art career from the start. So you really have to take an honest look at your career and figure out, okay, where am I at in my career? The type of publications. Am I collected by other galleries and museums and collectors? And do I get published a lot? Are people familiar with my work? So that really comes into play when trying to leverage your name and signature based off of your past and your education and, the people that have collected your work and all your previous sort of projects to sort of raise that price and figure out where that price point is. The next is demand. How in demand is your work? This is one of the fundamental things about business where supply meets demand, and right in the middle is that sweet spot to where you want to be. Do people know about your work? Are people trying to get your work and put it in their buildings and put it in their gallery and put it in their museum? The more in demand your work is, the more you're able to increase your prices, mainly because there are more buyers and collectors and museums wanting to get a part of you, the part of your work, and have that work be in their space. Next is exclusivity, and exclusivity piggybacks off of demand. Is it an original? Is it a print? Is it the limited edition series? The more exclusive that work is, the more you can leverage that to increase prices. So you really have to ask yourself, the work you're trying to price, is it readily available? The next is environment. Where are you selling your work? Is it online? Is it in a coffee shop? Is it at Art Basel, the premier art fair? So think about where you're putting your artwork. The people that will frequent an Art Basel or a nice gallery are going to be different than someone that frequents, a coffee shop where you put your work. The one thing I do have to say is that because we are all digital, you're able to reach those buyers online because everyone is online. So you want to make sure that you keep a consistent price, that the price difference in some of these different places are not super extreme. And the last is commission and fees. When we sell our work, there's always some sort of magical commission or fee that we have to pay to someone or something, whether it's a credit card company that you use to process the payment with, or it's a gallery that you have to sort of split the commission with, or it could be the shipping cost, or it could be, sales and taxes. A lot of times when I sell work, people don't realize they have to pay sales tax on that. So sometimes I sort of put that into the actual overall total that I give them, the price of the piece, and then I just take that out of that price. So you always have to think about what are the commissions and the fees attached to selling that piece of artwork. How much do I need to increase my prices to get to a price to where after I sell it and I pay the gallery, I pay the agent, I pay whoever, I'm able to have something that I'm happy with. So those are the 8 different areas that I think about whenever I'm pricing my work. The main thing that I do, and this is something that I think you all should do, get insight from your fellow artists. So one thing that you can do is go to a website like Saatchi or artsy.net, and they have tons of artists, tons of galleries around the world that will put their artwork on there and have the prices attached to those works. Then you're able to see what other artists are charging for their work. Look at exactly what is selling on those websites, because you can charge a certain price doesn't mean that people are going to buy it. So look at what's being sold on the website. I like to go to ABV Gallery, which is something where it's kind of like my peers and the type of work that I do is very bright, very colorful, and I like to look at some of the prices on there to see what are other artists, my peers, what are they charging. I not only like to give advice, but I like to give advice with an example. And one of the videos that I made, I'll put it up here, is a video where I documented one of my latest murals that I did at the University of Colorado, Denver. I went through the process and documented everything, and I actually shared the price, the artist fee that I charged the university to do a mural on the campus. I did that mainly because I wanted to share and just illuminate some light onto all the different costs, why I charged them what I charged, and it really helped out a lot of artists. So definitely check out that video so that you can understand when I'm doing the work that I do, why I'm charging the prices that I do. And lastly, let me leave you with 2 words of advice. The first is be patient. Be patient with your work, because not everything will sell when you want it to sell. Sometimes you have to, hold on to work for, weeks, months, years at times, and then it finds a buyer that is able to value it the way you want to value your work. It goes into the second piece of advice is make sure you value your work accordingly. If you find someone that is, wanting to pay for cheap art, you're going to treat it like cheap art. So make sure it finds a home of a buyer that is really able to respect it, because they traded you the income or the money that says, hey, I value this piece of work, because that is what it's all about. You want to make sure your art finds a good home. So hopefully you'll like this video. Make sure you check out some of the other videos that I made, because I want to keep making more videos like this, and I'll see you next time. Peace.